gonna win the NBA Cup? Here are the matchups. First, we'll start off with the Bucks versus the Magic. I do think the Bucks are gonna win this matchup for a few reasons. Number one, the most obvious reason, the Magic do not have Paolo or Franz Wagner. So they are clearly outnumbered, especially by star power. But even besides that, because next man up is a real thing. However, the Bucks have found their stride. The Bucks are currently rolling, so the Magic could not be facing them at a worse time. So I do think the Bucks win this matchup. Chris Middleton is back. He looked good in his debut. And so I just think the whole team, especially with Giannis, is going to be too much. Next, let's go to the Knicks versus the Hawks. The Hawks always play the Knicks tough. Like we saw it earlier in the season, the Knicks lost to them. Dyson Daniels has been playing some of the best defense in the league. And I talked about this recently. The Hawks are low-key a bit underrated. They win games that you wouldn't expect them to win, but they also lose games that you don't expect them to lose. Like, they're a little bit inconsistent. But we know Trae Young loves to play the Knicks. However, I do think the Knicks have also, like the Bucks, found their stride. And so I do think this matchup will be different this time, and I do think the Knicks will come out on top. Bridges found his stroke. I think Jalen Brunson will be great in this game. I think Karl Anthony Towns will assert himself, and OG will do his thing on offense and defense. So then you get to the semifinals, and you have the Bucks versus the Knicks. Unfortunately for the Knicks, they could not be facing any worse opponent. The only team, or rather one of the only teams, who literally have had their number are the Milwaukee Bucks. Prior to this 3-game winning streak in the head-to-head matchups, the Bucks had won 9 in a row. And of course, that is over a couple of years, so the teams have been different since then. But the one thing the Bucks have, kind of similar to playing the Magic, is that they have Giannis, Bobby Portis, and Brook Lopez. Sometimes a matchup is just not good for a team, even if the team overall may be better. Like, I do think the Knicks are a better team overall than the Milwaukee Bucks. There's something about that combination of Giannis, Bobby Portis, and Brook Lopez that just gets the Knicks every time, especially with no Mitchell Robinson to at least offset some of the offensive rebounds and the defense on the glass. So I do think that this matchup will go to the Milwaukee Bucks. Then we have in the West, the Rockets versus the Warriors. I think this is also kind of an easy one. The Warriors have had the Rockets number for the last few years, and so I do think the Warriors will win this matchup. And although the Rockets have been playing great basketball, and that's why they are a number 2 seed in the West, I feel like the Warriors know how to expose their weaknesses, and that's why they also keep winning. And when you got Steph Curry on your team, I mean, come on, it makes life so much easier. And if Kuminga's going to play the way he's played the last couple of games, it's going to be a tough night for the Rockets. Then we move on to one of the most interesting matchups, and that is the Mavs versus the Thunder. The Mavs are rolling right now. A team that was like 12th in the West is now like 3rd or 4th. The Thunder, of course, have been great all year. And this is an interesting matchup because the Thunder no longer have Chet, but they have Isaiah Hartenstein, so we know he'll protect the paint. But I saw a stat that said like the Magic have made the biggest jump percentage-wise of points in the paint. That's largely due to their trade acquisitions from last year, Daniel Gafford, and then obviously Derek Lively, who they drafted. It said that they were at like 42% or something last year, and now they're at like 50%, which I believe they said leads the league in that category. You know, the Thunder are a very good three-point shooting team, but they also can get downhill. So I feel like it's going to be a matchup of Shea versus Luka in a way. Because I feel like everybody else on each team is going to, you know, do their thing. Whether they have a good shooting night or a poor shooting night, I feel like it's going to come down to those two. And so in that scenario, I could see a world where Shea outplays Luka, and then I think the Thunder win. I'm going to go with the Thunder because I'm going to go with Shea having like a 40-point game. So then we have the Warriors versus the Thunder. This is another interesting matchup because from my recollection, all the games, like the last 4 or 5 matchups they've had, have all been so close. Like there's been a couple of overtime games, or it has come down to the last basket. So you know that this game will probably be a thriller. And one of the biggest problems that the Warriors had was when Chet was there, because he's a 7'2" guy who can protect the rim, but he can also shoot the 3. And that's not to say that they can't win without Chet, but he was the one that gave them like a huge advantage or mismatch against the Warriors. But in the end, I do expect the Warriors to win this matchup. I expect Steph Curry to have a great game and help carry the team to a win. Then we got the finals, Warriors versus Bucks. I do think similar to the New York Knicks, the Bucks are a bad matchup for the Warriors. I don't know what the head-to-head record is, but I know every time the Warriors play the Bucks, sometimes it could be a struggle because, again, that combination of Giannis, Bobby Portis, and Brook Lopez just makes it so tough on you. Because those are 3 guys who are very big, tall, and strong, who can get in the paint and back you down, but they can also shoot the 3. I mean, Giannis is not a good 3-point shooter, but Brook Lopez is, and Bobby Portis can get his own shot when he wants, and then Giannis doesn't need a three-point shot because he's just that good. I feel like it's really hard to score against them in the paint when they're there, and then also to get offensive rebounds, it can be tough. However, the Warriors, I believe, are second in the league in like rebounds per game or offensive rebounds. Like, they are a very good rebounding team. Despite what people say about their size, they are one of the top rebounding teams. But I do think in the end, it's going to come down to Giannis being Giannis, and then I feel like Brook Lopez would have a really big game. I don't know why, but I just feel like he would. And so I do think that the Bucks would win this matchup. And so in the end, the Bucks are the NBA Cup champions.